Imagine being forced from the only home you've ever known, fleeing from violence and persecution, only to find hostility and rejection at every turn. This has been the reality for the Rohingya, an ethnic minority from Myanmar, for many years now. The story begins in the late 1970s. The Rohingya, who are predominantly Muslim, have been living in Myanmar for generations. However, the government of Myanmar has consistently denied them citizenship, effectively rendering them stateless. They have been subjected to severe restrictions on their basic rights, from freedom of movement to access to education and healthcare. The situation took a turn for the worse in 2012 when communal violence erupted in Rakhine State, home to the majority of the Rohingya population in Myanmar. The violence, which largely targeted the Rohingya, resulted in hundreds of deaths and displaced tens of thousands of people. The crisis escalated dramatically in August 2017 when a militant group known as the Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army attacked several police posts in Myanmar. The Myanmar military responded with a brutal crackdown on the Rohingya population. The United Nations has since described the military's actions as a textbook example of ethnic cleansing. The violence forced hundreds of thousands of Rohingya to flee their homes, with the majority seeking refuge in neighboring Bangladesh. The refugee camps in Bangladesh, however, are overcrowded and under-resourced, creating a humanitarian crisis of immense proportions. The plight of the Rohingya has not gone unnoticed. International organizations and governments around the world have condemned the violence and called for the repatriation of the Rohingya to Myanmar. However, these efforts have largely been unsuccessful due to ongoing safety concerns. In the meantime, many Rohingya have sought refuge in other countries, including Indonesia. However, Indonesia is not a signatory to the UN Convention on Refugees and has been grappling with its own challenges related to the sudden influx of Rohingya refugees. The situation in Aceh, Indonesia is particularly tense. More than 1,500 Rohingya refugees have landed in Aceh since November 2023, leading to heightened hostility among the local residents. The Indonesian Navy has even been forced to push back boats carrying Rohingya refugees. This is the reality of the Rohingya refugee crisis. It's a complex issue with no easy solutions, but it's also a crisis that demands our attention. So, what can one do? Start by educating oneself about the crisis. Understand the historical context, recognize the human rights abuses, acknowledge the immense humanitarian challenges, and then use that knowledge to raise awareness, to advocate for change, and to support organizations that are working tirelessly to alleviate the suffering of the Rohingya. Because every individual deserves a safe place to call home. Every individual deserves to live a life free from violence and persecution. And every individual deserves to have their basic human rights respected and protected, regardless of their ethnicity, religion, or country of origin.